And I'm going to hand it over to this guy who you know, kind of, right? Mr. Jolly? All right. Good evening. Take it from here, sir.
Good evening, Livonia. We are joined today by some special ladies from Girl Scout Troop 77691 of Hoover Elementary, the second graders. We're very happy to host them here. They're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll say very quickly, I know about the effort and the programming of the Girl Scouts, particularly at Hoover. I have two girls, two daughters, who are Hoover Girl Scouts. They're a little bit older now. But I know that you have a lot of great parents and great leaders who are really helping you out all the time, and you're probably making great friendships. So we got to make sure you keep that up to make Livonia a great place. And with that being said, we do us the honor of saying the Pledge of Allegiance, leading us in it. Come on up, right where I showed you. Stand right here, and I'll tell you, stop right there. Back up just a little bit. We want to make sure these cameras show you on YouTube, right?
There's a lot of people out there
watching. Right, so whenever you're ready, you start and lead us, okay? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job, Joel. Okay, I think we're gonna. Can we take a picture with the council? Oh, yeah. If you ladies want to come up here and get it.
All right.
We need props.
Yeah, we could just do that. Yeah. All right, I'm liking the Livonia Knights. We got a hockey player.
Got our cookies. Come on, Scotty.
There it is.
You guys want a box?
Anyone want a box? All right.
Here.
There you go. Hold your box out.
Here. We're going to give you guys.
You got props.
Yeah, you can hold them up, you know. You gotta be fun, Scott.
It's marketing 101 right here. Do we get to keep these?
Oh.
Say Girl Scouts.
Oh, there we go. Councilman Jolly with the dad joke. Here we go. What do I take him back?
Scott took this.
Good job, kiddos.
So,
If you're good, you can have between the regular and the study.
so I'll say, so we have the distinct honor of having a lot of Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops come to visit us to help us say the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the only troop, though, that once that was scheduled, they were entrepreneurial enough to start sending us emails to sell us Girl Scout cookies.
Well, clearly it worked.
We knew they were coming, and the email started, and that's a great thing. You got to be pushy sometimes in life, and if you don't know, I mean, in a good way, right?
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there. If you don't ask, people aren't going to do what you want them to do. So, thank you all. You can stick around for the beginning of the meeting
Yes,
if you'd
if you
like
want
to.
to.
And
It's a lot of fun.
You know, I just want to say something.
Look at,
Girls,
don't
what I
listen
want to
that
say
man.
to you is, a lot of us were Brownies and Girl Scouts when we were younger, and I would like you to stay in it. Once you get to be a Brownie, go up and fly up to Girl Scouts, because you get to do a lot of neat things, don't you? So please stay in, because like, not Representative Jolly, but Councilman Jolly said, you need to be active in your community in Livonia. We need you, okay? We need you on recycling. We need your ideas. So please stay involved, okay? Thank you so much for being here tonight.
All right.
I'll give it back to you.
The floor is back to mine. We're going to get into some city business. Welcome to the 1989th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting, scheduled to be held on Monday, April 1st. No jokes aside, 2024. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Jolly,
Present.
Vice President Tashnik,
Here.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Here.
Councilmember Morgan,
Here.
Councilmember Choi,
Here.
President McCullough.
Here. So we have 6 members present. We are missing the Honorable Rob Donovic, who is on a beach. I'm going to tell him that he has a much-needed vacation going on right now. So, Rob, if you're watching, have fun. We just had snow today, so that's phenomenal.
I'm sure he's dialed in.
Yeah. I will now entertain a motion for the minutes from the regular meeting of the City Council held on March 11th, 2024. Council?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Vice President Tashnik, supported by Councilman Jolly. Any comments from the audience on the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik,
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye, and we have a 6-0. We will now move on to audience communication. The council has set aside 30 minutes for audience communication for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any audience communication? Mr. King, name and address for the record.
Yeah, Steve King, 33950 Coventry. I thought you were going to take a break and take pictures with all these folks. You're not going to do that?
We already did.
Oh, you already did that. Okay, where was I?
We're a step ahead of the
All
game.
right,
Made
where
the
was
cookies.
I? I was probably having a conversation. All right, very quickly, I want to just thank Councilwoman Carey for continuing her coffee and conversations. I attended this most recent one. I believe it was the third one. Great crowd, and the guest speaker she brought in was talking about transit and the future of the city. Really, very, very informative, and of course, very insightful comments from the audience, and great questions as well. So I hope you'll continue doing that. I know, Brandon, you do that as well, and yours, of course, is huge. I've attended one of yours, and huge crowd, and you do a great job, and many, many different things are discussed, and the topic of marijuana came up, and a seasoned citizen stood up and said, we do not want marijuana in the city of Livonia. And I had a chance to meet with her one-on-one, and I said, you may not want it, you may not like it, but I'm telling you, there is marijuana in the city of Livonia, and I didn't know how prophetic that statement was until the recent bust of the four warehouses' largest bust in Michigan. And of course, I was very confused. How can you be busted for selling an illegal product? So I guess there's more involved. You can read the article on Cranes, and I don't condone illegal activity of any kind, but I think what recently took place illustrates a desire that is not being met. I know folks who live in Livonia that would like to purchase legal medicinal and recreational cannabis in Livonia, so I'm hoping that's something. I know on the campaign trail that was brought up a lot, so I hope at some point the council will have an opportunity to address that. And lastly, I attended the State of the City, and which I'm sure you guys did too.
I love it.
And we found out Livonia's future is so bright we have to wear shades.
There you go.
And I want to thank Mr. Jolly for making that happen. The State of the City, fantastic event, and the mayor is she just knocks it out of the park. She does an outstanding job. She's really in her element there. So I was very fortunate to be able to see all of that. A couple of things about the State of the City. I wish, because they're sharing so much positive information, great stuff, that it wouldn't be a ticketed event. It would be open to the public. It would be in the evening. It would be large. It would be a bigger celebration. And the last thing I'll say about that, they pass out this great booklet. It's available to everybody. Charts, graphs, a lot of factoids and information. I love the fact that
That's time.
I don't have to turn on. All right, thanks.
You did well, and you had the shades too. I love it.
I tried.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Martin, name and address for the record.
Thank you. Christopher Martin, the great state of Michigan. And I didn't really know what Steve was going to talk about tonight. We don't really have much conversation about that. We both just do our own thing. But I want to touch on what Steve said about the marijuana. When it was first put on the ballot, the medical marijuana was the first issue that came up, and that passed by 63% within the city. It's very easy to remember also, for me, same amount, 63% passed on the recreational marijuana, and that both of those were the same, 63%. So I understand that there's individuals out there who, think it's, they watched Reefer Madness, I guess, many years ago, and those that might be familiar with that. But times have changed. Now, I'm in favor of anything. After helping my uncle, who was a captain in the Marine Corps, had a lot of beach landings and stuff in World War II. But to take care of him in hospice, that was very rough. And there was a time when he said, I just want to cash out. And I says, okay. I went to the staff and said he wants to leave now. And they refused to help him with that. So that was a different time, but I do understand that anything to relieve pain I'm in favor of, okay? So that whether it's the medical marijuana or the recreational, have at it, okay? It doesn't make any difference to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Anybody else for audience communication? Right here, if you would make your way to the podium, sir.
Evening, folks. My name is Thomas Patrick Doherty, and I live at 14395 Farmington. I've lived in Livonia all my life. I lived in Kimberly Oaks. I built a Cape Cod on Greenland, and the city wanted to use it for a Christmas walk. Came out so good. But that aside, I'm here for to change something. I was living in Silver Village, and I was wounded in Vietnam, served the 101st Airborne Division, Bronze Star Valor and everything. I 100% disabled. And I was living in Silver Village, and the VA decided we're going to label him 100% disabled and give him a monthly medical allotment because my medical bills were so high. And the office in Silver Village says, Tom, you went over the max. You got to move out. You make too much money. Well, what drove me over the limit was a medical supplement. And that's only between me and the VA, the IRS or the government or any state or federal. It's not between them. It's between me and the VA. And Silver Village considered it income. The VA considered it medical supplement to pay them back $8,000 in medical that I owed them, co-pays, plus in the future to pay for future medical bills. Now, I had to move out of Silver Village because they considered that income, and it took me over the income amount, but that's not income. The government doesn't. I don't declare it income. I don't, government has nothing to do with it. But yet they saw at this time, well, the people running Silver Village, that it was, they could step in and say, well, you make too much money, so you have to move out. And that put me kind of in a bind because that supplement was going for a lot of injuries that I don't even want to mention here. There's quite a few of them. I'm 100% disabled, and I've made a lot of contributions through to Livonia, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I know I helped Sister Modesta set up hospice at St. Mary's, and I worked there for several years. Bless her soul, she's going to turn 100, I think over 100 soon. And I worked at the cancer store next to AAA, cleaning clothes and ironing them that were brought in for 3, 4, 5 years there. And then the owner wanted more rent. And
Sir, that's 3 minutes.
Cancer started to move out, but I would like to move back.
Mr. President?
Yes.
So we have a 3-minute time limit, but I'm going to.
Well, I wish you would have notified me when I
all-
came to the podium.
With all due
Sure,
respect,
sure.
I'm going to make a motion so you can continue, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I
So
would
sorry.
have.
It's okay. It's just that-
I was going to make a motion so you can continue on.
Okay, I'm going to speed it up.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to extend
Do we have
the
support?
gentleman's
Second.
minutes
Support.
to equal 5 total, which would give you 2 additional minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move in, my basis point, I'm here today. I'd like to move in back into Silver Village, which was a magnificent place to live, just super. People there were great, except when they asked me to move out. And I understand now there's a year's waiting list. And I would like to be given the opportunity to move back in there because I was told to move out by misinformation that my income was over the limit. They included my medical supplement from the VA. And nobody is supposed to know about that, and nobody is supposed to reference that. The government can't, IRS can't, even H&R Block, they do my income tax, can't reference that. So I would like to move back there. It was a safe haven for me. My injuries are getting worse, and the VA officially labels me a disabled 100% veteran, and I kind of did a lot of things in Livonia. I love Livonia, and beautiful. It seems like I've probably been here 40, 50 years, and it's never changed. It looks the same all the time. So with that, I'm asking the ability to move back into Silver Village and not get on that 1 year's waiting list. I was in there 5 years, and I was told to move out, and I didn't think that was fair, because I moved out on misinformation by the Housing Commission at that time. They've since retired, so I'm done.
No.
Unless you have any questions for me.
No, I appreciate you coming up. We're going to be moving on to council
Okay.
communication, where I'll let my colleagues, I think some of them do want to speak to your matter. Thank you for your years of service to our country. We're going to try to get you the right information and make sure we get some information
Fine.
to you. I appreciate
Okay.
you coming
Thanks,
today.
folks. Okay.
Any further audience communication for items that are not on the agenda?
Mr. Chair.
Seeing none, I'm going to move on to council communication. Councilwoman Toy.
If I may, to the man, I want to thank you for your service. I grew up during the Vietnam era. Wasn't a pleasant war, but thank you for your service, sir. I hope that we will look into your matter and take this very seriously. You've done a lot for your country, obviously for our city, and we should look at those rules and perhaps what happened at the time. The question I wanted to ask the gentleman, Mr. President, is had you contacted anyone in the city when this occurred?
Which particular point?
Any of them? Any point you were on? Did you call other than the Housing Commission?
At the time I was told to move out, I did not question it. I did
Okay.
not inquire with anybody. I thought that was the way it was, and I followed the rules. And,
Okay,
But at the time, later on, I found out they were mistaken in how they
Got it.
addressed that issue.
okay. And I believe the president said we were going to put that over to the administration
Correct.
for some answers.
Yes.
And if we could get that by even the end of the month,
Correct.
that would be helpful. Because as we directed things, I'd like some times on those so that we are
so we
getting
know
them
hold
back.
Yep, so sir,
Yep,
if you could
in a
hang out
timely manner.
this meeting, we
Yes.
have our study meeting after. I'm going to get you a business card so you can get some communication. We'll get you over to Sarah in our council office, and we'll get you some answers. Thank you. Any other council communications? Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a couple fun announcements today. Tomorrow at Anastasia's and Katie's Coffee Shop, they are celebrating World Down Syndrome Day. It's celebrated on March 21st every year. If you haven't had the opportunity to get to Anastasia's and Katie's, it's a great gem right here in our community on Merriman Road, just north of 7. It's one of the best coffee shops around. The baristas are extra special, and they're going to have a dance party at 3:21 tomorrow, but they will be open from noon till 6, doing special things all day. So if you get a chance to run by there, that would be a great opportunity. Next, we have quite the robotics teams here in Livonia, and the Livonia Warriors and Tyro's robotics teams this weekend are hosting their annual tournament over competition. It's being held at Churchill High School on Saturday and Sunday. Starts at 11 on Saturday and starts at 9 on Sunday, and they would love to see anyone come out. If you would not believe what these warriors, also known as children though, can produce and build with these robots. It's absolutely amazing. Some of my own students will be competing this weekend, and if you haven't had the chance to get over there, it's an amazing thing. Last, kind of have a couple things today. Sorry. I just wanted to kind of give a shout out and a thank you to both our IS department and our clerk's office. They've been working on updating all of our ADA notices so that they're now appropriate on our minutes, our agendas, etc. We're ADA compliant finally with that. They've also gone ahead and made our website ADA compliant. So that was a really great team effort, and I just really wanted to thank everyone who came together to help with that when I made those calls, and they were all stepped up, and it was really a great effort. So thank you to the clerk's office and IS for doing that.
We got a great team, and we've got the Girl Scouts, we've got robotics, We have dance parties.
At Anastasia's, yeah.
That's awesome.
And coffee.
And coffee. Councilwoman Budzinski.
Yes, I just have a couple things. Want to follow up with Mr. King's comments. I do host monthly coffee hours. The next one is scheduled for April 13th. GFL will be there to present about recycling here in our community. We'll also talk about ERG and recycling of hazardous waste. Earlier this week, actually on Monday, I attended a public meeting for the Bluegrass Park Stream Restoration Project. This is a $1 million investment by Ashley Capital for conservation here in our community. It was a really informative meeting, and I wanted just to flag for folks that if you go to the Parks and Recreation page on the city website, go to About and Construction Projects, you can get the PowerPoint for that project. You can also see what other projects are happening, like Mees Park is getting a new playground. But it's just something, if you didn't know where to find that kind of information, it's easily accessible on our website. And also to follow up, we had our State of the City yesterday. The annual report is available. It is also digital. So if you go to your government, the mayor's office, there's an annual report page you can read through and see numbers and stories from things that happened last year.
Thank you. Anything further from council? All right, seeing none. I do have a couple announcements just to touch base on. We have some birthdays. So Doug Moore from our DPW, I don't know if he's here, but he is going to be celebrating a birthday today. So Mr. Moore, if you're out there, happy birthday. Former Mayor Ingebrigtsen, birthday on March 23rd. We're going to wish the mayor a very happy birthday. Mr. Khan, who's our emergency manager, March 29th. And I'm also showing new data on items 16 and 20. Those are kind of not the fun ones. We like birthdays better, right? All right. With that, we're going to move on to reports from the mayor and other city officials. Okay. So, girls, if you want to stay, you can, but you do not have to. So, parents, if you want to hang out for a meeting, we're giving you the way out if you would like it. And if not, we're not kicking you out by no means.
So you all have to make sure you do your reading to turn in your reading logs tomorrow, so you can duct tape Mr. D to the wall. Right?
Yeah.
So make sure you do that reading and.
Now you got to tell what's Mr.
So Mr. D is the principal at Hoover Elementary School.
All right,
If the kids do all of their reading for March's reading month, they get to duct tape him to the wall. And that might be something cool that we institute here at City Council, where we duct tape our president to the wall.
Yes.
Depending on how the meetings go.
It's not fun.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you, girls,
Great
so
job.
much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. All right, so we do show reports from the mayor and other city officials. We do have communication from the Department of Finance dated March 1st. This is more of a receive and file. We are now going to move on to the consent agenda. Items 1 through 14 on the consent agenda will be voted on as one item. These were items that were previously discussed at the study meeting and took place on the last meeting and determined to be non-controversial.
Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
We have motion from Carrie, Ms. Budzinski. We have support from Jolly. Do I have any further comments from council? Seeing none. Do I have comments from the audience? Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Yes, Christopher Martin, a resident of Livonia and the great state of Michigan also. I'm in favor of this number 3, this appointment of a magistrate. And I think you got the right guy here. Just a brief story here. I got along really well with Barbara Scheer, and when she was magistrate, and we had a pretty good rapport with each other. And she realized on occasion what was indeed happening with my multiple appearances over in the courthouse. And so she was always understanding. There was never a bail that I had to post, okay? And she never thought I was going to run off to Bolivia and have to be extradited back to Livonia. So she was always very nice with me. We got along really well, and I'm looking forward to working with Paul if this ever should happen in the future, where I'll be called in for some special favor. So
Well, now we know where you're going to be in Bolivia if you get out of here.
That's right. It's an interesting country.
Mike, mark that down, Mr. Magistrate. Thank you, Mr. Martin. All right. Anything other from council? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik,
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. And the consent agenda passes 6-0. We are now going to move on to unfinished business. We are going to start with item number 15, which is a request to extend waiver use approval to the current owner, Xingping Shane. This is petition 2014-10-02-14, submitted by Elite Foot Spa. Is the petitioner here? Council, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve on the regular.
So we have an approval. Do we have support?
Support.
We have support for discussion. Sir, we don't need to, just stand by for any question. Council, do we have any questions for the petitioner?
No.
I'll ask a question. Have you guys had any encounters with the Livonia Police Department?
No, not under my ownership.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Toy.
if I may to the petitioner, sir, what type of massage do you do there?
Acupressure and foot reflexology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically that, nothing more?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. And who do you employ mostly for that? People, residents within Livonia or surrounding areas, or
Both.
both?
Yes.
Do you also hire from out of the country?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. And how long have you been in business again?
Under my ownership, 3 years.
3 years? And had you owned other establishments before this?
Me personally, no.
No?
No.
Have you been involved in other establishments
Yes.
before this? How long
Involved.
on those?
Roughly, I'd say 10 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Jolly?
Through the president, sir, you indicate that you have owned this business for approximately 3 years. Looking at our packet of information here, it shows that the original approval to operate this business stems from 2014.
Right.
Can you?
It was a
so
transfer, sorry.
No, and let me just give you a little bit fuller of a question here.
Okay.
Can you explain how it led, what was the course of action that led to your ownership? And I think you indicated last time that a change in your relationship status had
Yeah,
led
basically
to.
similar situation. The former owner before me, he wanted to step away. So he asked if I would be interested in this business. So that's when I, gave it a shot, and you guys approved it. And yeah, from then on, here we are.
And within the establishment itself, are there private rooms that are built out, or is it a general area of service?
It's a general area, but there are separate rooms as well.
Okay.
One area for foot reflexology, and then one area for the acupressure style massage.
Okay. And you've never had any kind of regulatory or police?
Under my ownership, no.
What about under previous ownership? Anything that you're aware of?
Maybe there was one incident, but it was resolved. To my knowledge, there was no issue after that.
Okay. And you said last time we were here that the person you are trying to transfer ownership to has been the current manager of this facility
Correct.
for some time as well. How long has she been managing?
Under my last 3 years.
And was she the manager before then as well?
Correct. Well, she was an employee. She wasn't a manager, but she was an employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
All right.
Council, anything further? Seeing none, we do have a motion. Audience, do we have any communication on this matter? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik,
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
No?
President McCullough.
Aye. The motion carries 5-1. You have a motion. You're all set, sir.
All right,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
coming. Moving on to item number 16, which is a request for the authorization to purchase one Case 2024 750 dozer through the Sourcewell contract. This comes to us from the Public Works Department. Council, do I have direction?
Support, or sorry, motion.
Motion from
Yeah.
Vice President?
Support.
Support from Councilwoman Toy. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Jolly?
I see that Mr. Roraff is here. And given the questions I have about this, I think there's nobody I'd like to hear from more in regards to the explanation. Mr. Moore did a good job introducing this to us. But given some of the questions that arose last time, one being, we've gone 65 years without a bulldozer, why now? Number two, it raises my suspicion in regards to whether or not we need this when we talk about buying it and then looking to right away be selling it at some point in the identifiable future as well. So, Mr. Roraff, can you give us some context here?
Sure. Don Roraff, DPW. Thank you for having me. I think in the delivery of this at the last council meeting, I think there was some key points that were missed. We did have a dozer in the past. That dozer was discarded probably 20, 25 years ago. And in the process of doing that, that's when we had a road grader. We used that, and as more gravel roads and those type of things continued, then the grader went away, which left us with about a little over 2 miles of gravel roads right now. So the only way that we're grading those gravel roads are with our salt trucks with the underblades, which really don't have the downforce to be able to grade those roads properly. But to answer your question directly, we have had a dozer in the past. We have been thinking about putting this in the budget for the last 5 years. This is the year that we said, hey, it's not getting cut. We need to push this forward because of all of the work that's been described. The comment of discarding it at the end of our use, we're probably 10 years out at a minimum just to get the landfill level out in doing that. And I know there is additional information that was sent to the council on the 12th or 13th describing all of the different uses for that piece of equipment. As you know, we do not normally purchase any type of equipment without trying to go through and look at multi-use for anything that we buy. This dozer is no exception to that. We will be able to use this in all kinds of different areas. We have bringing a lot more construction work with our roads in-house. So the removal of concrete slabs and helping to move that, helping to level the sub-base on anything that we're using in the field for that. The golf courses are continually asking us to use equipment to do some projects over there, whether they're leveling, creating new tee boxes, moving massive stuff. We've had to turn down Parks and Recreation Department of wanting to completely strip infields at ball diamonds for different reasons. We just don't have big enough equipment to do that efficiently without taking up a ton of manpower and time. Again, I can go on with other things that we're using with the ditching. When we got rid of the graders years ago, we got a ditching machine that was used for a lot of the ditching. That went through its useful life. It was not replaced. This dozer would be able to do swales, create ditches, reestablish drainage areas, all of those type of things that we would have. For sure uses for moving forward. So it's not just a one-time thing that we're going to be using a couple months at a time and it's going to sit in the corner somewhere. It will have use continually. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does, and it provides some context there. The last study meeting, it was kind of presented as something that would be useful for a particular project at the Livonia dump, which is probably most people don't even know we have one, and I know it probably is a thorn in your side and a headache at the same time.
That would be accurate.
But we're glad that you take that burden for the rest of us. So thank you for the explanation. Appreciate it.
Anything else from council?
Yes, I
Ms.
just,
Benson.
for the benefit of the public, who may have watched the last study meeting and seen some of the concerns that were addressed, we did get a letter outlined. Some of the concerns from a resident included staffing and who can manage this equipment. We do have 3 individuals currently on staff who can. We also have trailers that can move the dozer to areas where it needs work. So that additional equipment when it need to be purchased. So those are just a couple of standout items that I wanted to let people know. Again, our agendas are all public record. You can access them on the city website as well on Civic Clerk.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wazinski. Anything further from the audience? You got to kick Mr. Rohraff out of the way.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to have a few comments.
I'm kidding.
He's just messing. No. Oh.
It's Mr. Murphy's mic.
We're not starting the clock.
It's not even April Fool's, but I thought,
That's right. It smells better on this side anyways. There you go. Ba-boom. All right, couple of things. I used to work for the DPW back when only Laura Taro will remember this name. Charlie Hobb ran the show. You remember Charlie? Yes. And you do not dig ditches with a dozer. We use a backhoe and a front end loader. The bulldozer is a specific task piece of equipment. It does not do multiple functions. If you're going to do roads and all the things he's describing, buy another road grader. You guys, it'd be great for you to go over to Bushel Mart, who they have a mountain of dirt about 200 feet high, and they manage that with excavators and front end loaders. I have driven these equipment, and those are the proper equipments to do such thing. I wish Rob was here because he could address that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Ms. Martin?
Yes, Christopher Martin, a great state of Michigan, and yes, it does smell better on this side over here, Steve. I will agree on that. I wasn't in favor of this because, I referred to it as an expensive toy, and I guess rubbed some feathers the wrong way on that, describing that as an expensive toy. And it's a piece of equipment that's expensive, okay? And I just don't think it's necessary. The average, people think in the city here, people that are employed by the city think that there's a abundance of money here, okay? And that, well, you know, it's on the budget, okay? So we got to spend it. But it really is, I believe, getting out of control to a certain degree. And so I wish you would vote this down, okay? A regular contractor would not go out and spend this type of money on something that he's not going to use on a full-time basis. Like this piece of equipment will sit more than it's being used. That's my firm belief on this. And quite some time ago, but I actually had my ass in a bulldozer a number of years ago, back in the late 70s. So I agree with Steve on this. I would use the front end loader. The average guy who they just weld a piece of sheet metal or scrap metal on the front of it, and so they could push dirt just like the dozer instead of scooping it. And as far as any ruts or whatever, you backblade it, and there you go. I think this is an extravagant amount of money to be spent. And he's relying on a lot of your being team players, I believe, okay, and approving it because it's already it's in the budget. Well, a lot of things are in the budget that are unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Anything further from the audience? Seeing none, I do believe we do have a motion on the table. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. We are now going to move on to item number 17, which is a request for authorization to purchase one Case 2024 wheel loader model 621XR through the Sourcewell contract. This comes to us again from the Public Works Department. Council?
Move approval.
Got an approving from Toy,
I'll
support
second that.
from Jolly. Council?
Mr. President, this goes hand in hand with the previous item. No need from my perspective for additional conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. Anything further from council? Seeing none. Anything from the audience? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. And the motion carries 6-0. We are now going to move on to new business. We're going to start with number 18, which is an acceptance of a grant of easement. This comes to us from the Department of Law for a public utility easement from the R&E Landscaping and Consulting LLC. Council, Mr. Jolly.
Mr. President, I'll offer an approving motion.
Or,
Approving from Jolly, support from Toy. Council? Seeing none. Audience? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. We will move on to item number 19, which is a request to approve or deny settlement. This comes to us from the Department of Law for the remaining 7 claims for the Donald and Nina Krosky versus the City of Livonia. This, council, do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval. Support from Morgan. Council? Audience? See no comments from the audience? Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. And the item passes 6-0. We will move on now to item number 20, which is a request to approve offer to purchase real estate from Livonia Public Schools. This comes to us from the Department of Law in the amount of $415,000 to serve as the new site for the new Livonia Senior Center from the unexpended fund balance of the Senior Center Construction Fund. Council.
Mr. Chair, oh,
Councilman Toy,
I just was going to move it, but if Jolly wants to.
take it.
I would love to do it hand in hand with my
I
colleague,
will-
Ms. Toy. I'll offer the second if she offers the motion.
Well, there we go. Council, do we have discussion?
I have.
Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not actually sure, maybe this question is for Mr. Termina. I know that at the school board's committee of the whole, we originally were going to buy 4.08 acres. And at the Board of Ed meeting on this past Monday, now it's 4.15, which is what's before us tonight. And I'm all for it. I just want to know what the change in acreage.
So the 4.08 acres was based on a preliminary estimate that was provided by my department.
Okay.
And then following the survey, the land area was a slight increase based on technical, I'm sure, issues related to the exact land area involved. So
Okay.
it's a difference between an estimate and an actual survey.
All right, that's all. I figured it was something like that. I just want it clarified just in case. All right, that's the difference in the $7,000 too, so. All right, thank you,
President.
Mr. Termina.
Councilman Toy.
If I may, Ms. Termina. Ms. Termina, I've had questions from residents in regards to the Bentley Field. I don't know if we named that Curtsey Field, but I thought it was Bentley. Bentley Field, if the schools still own that portion, correct, of the property, if they wanted to change that zoning, they would have to come back to the council, the city of Livonia, correct?
Yeah, the current zoning of that property is PL. It will remain
Public land?
public land, and any change would have to be approved by this body. That's
Okay.
correct.
I just wanted to get that out publicly because there was a lot of people asking me about that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Toy.
Thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Mr. King.
Yeah, in the interest of transparency, I think the council should really put a dollar amount on what this property is actually costing. There was an agreement, I went to the Livonia LPS meeting the other day. There was nobody there, and when they were talking about this, and the mayor addressed it. There was an agreement. The city charges LPS to collect taxes. They have no mechanism to do that, and the city was charging the LPS about $440,000. And so through negotiation with this property, the city has agreed to only charge about $200,000. So that contract over the 4-year term the city is forfeiting about $1 million. And so the real cost of this property is $1,415,000. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anything else from the audience?
Mr. Chair, just if I may,
Yes.
Mr. King or whoever, you know, I was city treasurer at one time. I don't think we charged them that much when I was treasurer, but I'd like to think we didn't. But in all seriousness, it was a little excessive. And I know our treasurer's in here this evening, our current one, but we, you know, the kind of the consensus was, as we went through this, is that was a heck of a lot of money that we were charging them. So we tried to get our arms around it, if I may, with a lot of negotiations. I know a couple of my colleagues really worked hard on this. Our president, I believe, and our vice president, and you know, they didn't take this lightly. They spent hours on this in negotiations with the schools. They're a little tough bargainers at times, and you know, God bless them for that. But it was a little bit excessive, in all due respect. So. I just wanted to add that to it, if I may.
Thanks, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record.
Deb Christensen, I live in Livonia. Okay, so, I mean, I know that this is happening because there's this thing called Vision 21 and the big push to put a senior center. I, too, was at the State of the City address yesterday. So, negotiation and I would say chest moving has been happening, so the mayor can acquire this land to put the senior center there. I want to know where this money is going to come from, because I'm standing before you. Is that my time?
It is not your time.
As somebody that is desperate to have Noble looked at and secured safely, and there's no money for that. So if somebody could kindly address where this $415,000 is going to come from in our city, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from the audience? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote? Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie.
No problem. I was just going to address it. This, the city has been aware that we were going to purchase this land, so in the budget that has been set for the senior center project and rec center rehabilitation, that was discussed at the State of the City yesterday. Federal dollars, state and county money that's been acquired through our representatives at those different levels is what's being used to purchase this land.
Thank you, Councilwoman Budzinski. Anything else from council? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Choi.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye. And the item passes 6-0. That concludes the regular agenda. If there is any further audience communication for items that are not on the agenda, the time is now. And then we'll go back to council.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I didn't mean to do it, but on that last item, I left out Councilman Morgan's name, and he worked very hard on that as well. So I didn't want to,
No, you're good.
I was remiss not to
Thank
say
you.
that as well. So sorry about that.
Sorry, Ms.
It's just
Morgan.
called old age, that's all.
Good evening. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Council. Roger Spence, 32210 Myrna. I had the privilege of having Davy Tree Service come through our properties last week and clear out the lines. And in the front of my property, I have a couple 80-foot black spruce trees, as does my neighbor. And I would encourage you all to drive down Myrna now, just west of Hubbard, or east of Hubbard, on the north side, and it's an embarrassment. I've had more people come up to me and say, "What happened to your trees?" And my concern is, I understand that DTE, we've had outage problems, and they're attempting to rectify the problem and clear out the lines, but my concern is whether we have an arborist consulting this. I literally have 80-foot spruces with the entire south sides just stripped down. It's ridiculous, as does my neighbor. And I'm just wondering if there's any type of oversight that is being asserted over Davy Tree Service. Now, I've dealt with tree services throughout my life, and we pretty much just are comprised of individuals that cut and hack trees. And it's an embarrassment, it really is. We have beautiful green spaces in the city, lovely trees, and it's an embarrassment what's transpired in my front yard right now. In addition to the mess that's left down, because through the last week, I've watched branches continue to fall down that they didn't clean up, and pine cones, and it's truly a disaster. And I was just wanting to make the record that I don't know if there's any control or oversight going on, but I'm quite embarrassed right now at my front yard, and I don't know really how to handle it. It's just terrible. And I have a tree in the back on our neighbors, on our property line we share, and they literally chopped down a probably 15-inch diameter cherry tree and left it 15 foot sticking up off the ground, just a big stump there now. So I don't know. I just want to bring this to the council's attention. You may want to look and see what exactly Davey's doing as far as clearing these lines, because I'm not so sure they're properly handling the matter.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. I'll just kind of speak to the 6 Mile. I drove home from my employment today, and they were doing some of the trees down there. I know we have contact, but you bring up a good point. We'll make sure that we get some information to find out who's certified making the decisions, but I'm sure that there's someone on their team. I'm going to hand it. Does anybody else on council want to address this?
Go ahead. Sorry, it's your turn.
So, Roger, Your Honor, so let me be the first to call you Your Honor, right? So this is one of these things where we probably don't have a whole lot of control because they're operating under the Public Utility Commission's authority on the easements, right? Correct. With that being said, we will refer this to the inspection department in regards to keeping an eye out for what's going on and maybe potentially looking for any limbs that may be left and potential hazards or something of that nature. But in regards to the authority the city has or does not have, we don't have a whole lot in regards to this particular work.
And I appreciate the right of way and
yeah,
the right
I mean, it's
to
just one of
clear
those
the
things
lines,
where I
but
think
it's really terrible, the job they're doing. And if they're doing it in front of my house, I can only imagine what they're doing throughout the city. I haven't driven around and take a look, but it is. Just, I literally have had people come up to me and say, well, what are you going to do about your trees? And I told them, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
You know, so I just want to bring that to your attention that it seems like we have Davey really going to town on unnecessarily as far as over exuberance, I guess I'll term it.
And that's
for lack of
time.
a better term.
But thank you for showing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much
It's always
for
good to see
hearing
you. Right now, let me just ask: is there any further audience communication?
Yeah, I ran out of time on the state of the city.
You can't speak again.
Oh, Mr. King, you got to wait till this study.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's going to
Only
happen
come
in
once.
like 15
Gotta learn
minutes.
the rules.
Uh-oh.
I receive an uh-oh from the president himself.
You know what? Name and address for the record, sir.
I'd say Rob Drzwicki from the great state of Michigan, but I'm Rob Drzwicki, Director of Government Affairs for the city of Livonia. I have spoken in front of this august body many a times with many different iterations of wonderful people up there. This is the first time as a city employee, so thank you for your support in that. I'm acquainted with all of you, yet formally haven't introduced myself to the community. And want to make sure I put it out on the record for everybody. Just recently took over the government affairs position, and I'm proud to say that I hit the ground running with 2 Senate appropriations requests and a state of the city under my belt in 2 weeks and a couple of days. I feel a trial by fire. And I'm excited to get to work on the other projects ahead, which there are plenty. Among these, if you were at State of the City, which you can still watch on Facebook, among these are filling the boards and commission roles, coordinating projects with folks for Livonia's 75th birthday coming up, and maybe most importantly, working to ensure that we have clear and open lines of communication between this council and the mayor's office. I am looking very much forward to working with all of you, and don't hesitate to reach out, and that goes to the rest of the folks in Livonia. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make comment to Spence that as far as I remember, I think it's Doug Moore that is our arborist, if I'm staying correctly. Paul Bernier told me yes, and I believe everything Paul says. So it's Paul as well. And to Mr. Dericki, how's Rob doing? Anyhow, can I ask you, I've had people approach me on boards and commissions. In the past, it was the mayor's office. Should they send the resume to you, sir, or what would be?
They're welcome to absolutely send directly to me, and I'll
Okay.
make sure it gets to the right bodies. Obviously, different commissions have different restrictions as far as different bodies that certify them from
Is
outside
that
as well.
posted somewhere on the website?
It is.
or
It's on
any-
Livonia.gov.
Okay.
You can find the boards and commissions right there.
Okay, and that also shows ones that are in need of folks on it? and
You know,
maybe-
I will check that tomorrow morning,
Would you
first,
one of the
first thing in the
requirements?
office to see what we are actively seeking out, but we are always actively seeking out, residents that want to get involved.
Perfect.
That's what we love
Perfect.
best.
Well, thank you and congratulations again. Yes, sir.
All right,
you, Mr. Chairman.
no problem. Any further audience communication for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to try something and move the gavel over to the vice president because I have a big mouth and like to talk sometimes. So feel it, love it, have fun.
Can I gavel you quiet?
Yeah, can I have the floor, Madam Vice President? All right. So one of the fun parts that I've learned with being council president is you really can't say anything until you pass the gavel. So I'm learning. But there was a couple items, housekeeping items, that I wanted to make sure we put in committee of a whole. And so I'm going to hope to have some support of my colleagues. The first item is, I'm going to phrase it very high level as the Noble/Sheldon Park site. I just want to add that just for more topic. Right now it's in the capital outlay. I'd like to put it in committee of a whole for future discussion on the state of the building because it's sitting there, it's rotting every day. So something needs to be done, and I know we do have, a lot of community interaction of people wanting to do something. What happens, I think it's time that we stop talking and start doing something. So I'm going to ask for some support. Sorry, I know I kept on going, but so I do have support. That's the further discussion, is just to put the subject matter very high level for discussion. So I appreciate that from my colleagues. Yeah. You have the floor.
Can we take the vote?
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, can we take the vote?
Well,
We need to go to
We
the
could,
audience
yes.
as well,
Oh.
just give them an
Yeah.
opportunity to speak.
Oh, sorry. Is there any audience communication on this issue?
Uh-oh.
Oh. Name and address for the record, please.
Cindy Fleming, Livonia. Great state of Michigan. I would very much like to see Noble and Sheldon Park put on the committee of the whole. The building has been neglected. It has not been maintained by the city. It was shuttered in 2019, and the city hasn't touched it since. They haven't cleaned the gutters. They haven't done really anything. And the building could be saved and should be saved, and we need your help and support to get it saved.
Thank you. Any other comments? Come on. Name and
Name and address, Steve Alexander, 9919 Deering, Livonia, Michigan, because I will show my address. So just really quick, super thankful you guys are putting this on the agenda. I hope that as you begin to study it, you think about Livonia Vision 21 and developing Plymouth Road, and maybe viewing that space as like a, if we talk about what would be downtown Livonia as central city, maybe this is like the south end of the terminal, right? So if we think about like, how do we expand commerce along Farmington, and we talk about like what can we do up by 7 Mile, and now what are we doing in 5 Mile, and what we do down by Plymouth Road, right? So you see kind of like a connection. So that's my hope, is as we think about Vision 21, that space is focused as a community space, including the building, but also, of course, the park and the surrounding public land there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Madam Vice
Motion,
President?
I was gonna say, motion
May-
passes.
May I have the floor one more time?
You may.
Thank you. All right, so the second one that is kind of a big one to me is discussion. I'd like to put in committee of a whole the subject matter of the civil rights ordinance update. I was hoping for support from the colleagues just to
Support.
thank you. So obviously, there's been a lot of talk over the last, at least since I've been in council for 4+ years, about the NDO, non-discrimination ordinance, everything that's out there. And right now, I'll be completely real that we have something that's been on the books and hasn't been updated since before I was born, and I'm starting to get old. Not too crazy, but it's been over 40 years, guys. So I'm not looking at, shoving up the beehive and shaking everything up the snow globe, but I think this is something that is our due diligence to take a look at ordinances and update them as needed. And something as big as civil rights, I think, should be looked at more frequently than 40 years. So that's just behind that. I'd like to get this council behind committee of a whole just to discuss this. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I would like to recommend to the council that, I'm always up for discussion, but the problem is we discussed this last year, and we dealt with that, and we put in the committee of the whole. We brought it back out of the committee of the whole, and everyone voted on it, and it was put to rest. Bringing it back up, going back into committee of the whole, rediscussing it every year until the mayor or whoever gets what they want, instead of discussing it with the council and the public, it shouldn't be done. And it's almost a waste of time. It's a big circle where we talk about it, we put it in the committee hole, we vote on it, and then we're going to do it again. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I don't believe that this should go into the committee of whole again. We just rehashed this like 6-8 months ago. Thank you.
Councilmember Toy.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. My major concern on this is that we have had state and federal laws on this very topic. This has been done, and unless we're going to overrun laws that the state governs or the nation governs, and I hear sighs from the audience right now, I get it. There's very passionate people about this issue. I'm very willing to listen to that, but I'm also not willing to put it on the businesses in this community's back. They've had enough, everyone, with the pandemic and everything else. Some of you have run a small business. Some of you have had to pay payroll in 17 different taxes. Until you start doing that, then I want to hear you talk about that. I have never refused anyone in my small business of anything, and I will not be put in the newspaper for any reason and wrecking my business over something that is already in law. And Mr. Morgan is right to a point. We did discuss this. There's a political agenda going on here. I get it. I've been in politics long enough to get it. We should invite all people in here, and we shouldn't have to tell them that. They should know that by our actions and by what we do. This is not one of them. This has been done at the state and federal level. Let's pay attention to what's been done. I don't think we should repeat. We elect those people to do those laws, and this is getting to be pure politics now on this whole subject matter. And it's very insulting to me as I sit up here and have to listen to some of this again in regards to that we haven't done anything, because we have done things. And we have been an example in this community. So please, let's think this through before we start throwing things out. And I welcome Mr. McCullough's suggestion, and I will support it, and I will sit and I will listen with an open mind. But I just want you to know my feelings at the moment on it, to be fair to us in the community. Thank you.
Mr. McCullough.
So yes, no, and some of this, and I want to be on the record to say this. This is not the fourth floor NDO. This is not. I can say that on record. This is something that hasn't been updated in over 40 years, and while it might need some updating, all I'm asking for is just another dialogue. That was a different council when we discussed this stuff. That's all I'm asking for, is that we put it into committee and just have conversations. I'm not one to take anything away from the businesses. There were certain aspects of the former that I didn't agree with as well. But that doesn't mean that we can't sit down and see if there are things that we can update that make sense for everybody. That's all I'm asking. And so that, you have my word that this is not, there's no alternate motive. It's just for what I'm reason that I think is right, that we at least look at and see if we can make some changes. I promise you that. Thank you.
Mrs. Budzinski.
Thank you. You know, I know council discussed this a lot last year. I watched those meetings, but we do have new members on council, and it is still an issue that residents continue to bring up. And so I think it's just worthy of discussion and evaluation to see where can we make improvements. Are there things that we can do better? And, you know, I think the committee of the whole is the appropriate place for that conversation, and, you know, look forward to having.
Ms. Toy.
Thank you. I appreciate Mr. McCullough clarifying that, because there's a lot of strong rumors going on in regards to some of the background of this and who talks to who and who talks to what. And, you know, I don't play those games, and I never have in my career, and I'm not going to begin here at this stage and age. So I want to be perfectly honest with you on that, and I would hope we do the same thing in the committee and be square and fair with each other, because that's the only way we get along, to trust one another on our words. So I appreciate it, Mr. McCullough, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Anyone else on council? Mr. Morgan.
You know what, I'd like to make another motion that we as city council and maybe the law department just review state law and make sure that the city of Livonia's ordinance is in line with state law, and that maybe we just adopt the state law based on the discrimination ordinance that the state has set forward, and make sure that our ordinance is consistent with state law as a review.
Just point of order, real quick. Mr.
I'll
Morgan.
support that as
No.
a motion.
Wait,
Hold on.
point of
Oh,
order.
there's already a motion.
As the parliamentarian here,
Uh-oh.
was that a motion, Mr. Morgan?
It was, yes.
You can't make a motion when there's a motion on the floor without a substitution. Is it a substitute motion?
Yes, it's a substitute motion, I believe.
Okay, and there's support from Ms.
I'll
Toy?
support it.
Okay, so at this point in time, you would ask for comments from the council and the audience for or against the substitution of the motion.
Okay.
And then you would call for a vote, not on his motion,
But on the substitution.
but on the substitution of the motion.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Parliamentarian. All right, do we have comments on the substitution?
But it also doesn't mean we can't go back to his motion.
Correct.
As well, so, yeah.
So at this point, if the substitution fails,
Then we can go back.
We can go back,
Miss-
correct.
not that we would go back, we would just go back to where we were before the substitution.
Correct.
Right, right.
All right, did you have a comment, Ms. Toy? Or that
No,
was it?
thank
Okay.
you,
All
thank
right.
you.
Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, Vice President. So I'm going to tell you, because you guys are my colleagues and friends, that I'm not going to be supporting the substitute, because I think that matter, the substitute motion could be determined from the committee of the whole. So there's no disrespect, I'm just telling you where I'm at. Thank you.
Ms. Toy.
I love all of you. That's fine, but I think it's imperative that you look at the state law, everyone, because state law does govern us. They're the only ones that govern us, okay? Even the feds, when you're a state official, if you know anything about that government arm and branch, that's what governs us, the states, not the the federal have a place, but study your government and you'll see that the state has that type of power. And so they have made that clear. So that's why I thought his motion would be appropriate, quite frankly, not to dispel yours, but just to take a look at it. But I'm sure it'll be introduced in the committee anyhow.
Mr. McCullough.
I'm good.
You're good?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Do we have any comments from the audience on the substitute motion?
Ms. Tashnik?
Yes, oh, sorry, Mr. Jolly, go ahead.
Vice President Tashnik. So I think in general here, I think I'm always open to discuss anything in regards to things that are issues of importance to anybody in our community. I think the motion in terms of the substitution right now it's part of something that should happen in regards to any conversation on this particular topic going forward. And I think it would be cumbersome to do only this aspect of it and then have to come back and revisit what we do with that one way or another, right? I also think it's important to note that some of these things are currently in committee, and we may be rephrasing them under a different context, but I think there's some history that comes along with issues that have been in committee, and you don't have to start from scratch necessarily. So I just, not that I'm not going to, ultimately support the conversation, but I think it's important to have the historical context as well from the get-go. And I think the specific area of law that Ms. Toy was discussing was probably the 9th Amendment, which says that anything not denied of the states and not granted to the federal government is a state power. And that's what she was getting to.
That's right.
But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bazinski.
Yes. So I think it's still most appropriate to be in the committee of the whole. And I think that the conversations that we can have can be different from the conversations of last year. I think that there were, a lot of tensions. It was a very hot topic. And I think we're all very level-headed, that we all have great respect for each other, that we have good working relationships, and that if we prepare for the committee of the whole appropriately, learning what are the state laws, what are the federal laws, what do we currently have in place here in Livonia, and have a clear starting point, it kind of helps us understand where we're at and where we'd like to go, what improvements can be made. So opposed to looking at just one single line item as the proposed alternate states of state law, in a committee of the whole, we can have a more robust overview of what's going on and, hopefully find a path forward.
Anyone else on council? All right, now we'll go to the audience. Thank you.
Deb Christensen again, in Livonia. The reason why this is coming up again is because very plainly, the city council was wrong last time that they voted on this issue. Sorry. And I know some of you voted against the NDO that was presented last year, who are currently on the city council. I'm a business owner, and I'm not afraid of a different ordination or ordinance here in Livonia, even if we have the state laws and the federal laws to protect us and to protect the citizens of our city. The other thing that I want to say is 40 years is way too long to be looking at an issue that is prominent. And when somebody on council said, people know that we are like a city of how did they know? How do people know that we are a welcoming community? How do they know? I'm asking. You guys probably have my email address. I welcome you responses to me. How do they know? This is one reason. This is one way to tell people in our community and the surrounding communities that we do value every human being. Thank you. I think that it should be in the committee of the whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? I'm saying none. We're going to vote on the substitute. Right? Madam Clerk, take
Councilmember Jolly.
No.
President McCullough.
No.
Councilmember Budzinski.
No.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Vice President Tashnik.
No.
So the motion to substitute fails?
So for the substitute fails.
Do I have to present the motion again?
You do not have to present the motion again. The motion remains as the motion on the table.
Did we have support for the motion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do we have any comments on the motion, council? Anyone from the audience on the original motion?
Am I allowed?
You can speak for 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I come down on local control, and elections have consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry. Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Nay.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
And Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
So the item,
So, yeah, sorry.
it's a lot, honestly. Trust me.
No, the item will go to committee of the whole, thank you. Mr. McCullough, do you have another one?
No, I'm done. I'm done. And enjoy.
Would you
want it
like
back?
to
Yeah, I'll
pass
take it
that?
back. I tell you, having the gavel is a different thing. So right now, that is going to conclude pretty much everything. Anything further from council? Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
There we go. Do I have support?
Support.
I can safely so sit. We are going to adjourn the regular at 8:15, and 8:25 we'll hit the study. Thank you.
He does.